Every day at 5 a.m., an old man comes to the door and starts screaming and harassing schoolgirls. I haven't slept properly in 10 years because of insomnia. I have no job, no family pressure, nowhere to be. One day, out of anger, I insulted and pushed the old man, without knowing he belonged to a mafia family. What happened next? The old man next door exercises every single morning before 5 a.m., screaming, "Hey ha!" waking up the entire neighborhood. Nobody has the guts to say anything to him because the second someone does, he grabs his chest, collapses on the ground, and starts demanding money for medical bills. Even the cops can't do anything about him. That's exactly why the rent here dropped by half, and why I happily moved in. First night, severe insomnia for 10 years running. I'd barely managed to fall asleep around 5 a.m. when that exercise maniac jolted me wide awake. The neighbors pulled me aside and said, "Just let it go, don't provoke him." I smiled at them, dead-eyed, with the darkest bags under my eyes you've ever seen. He exercises at 5 a.m.? Cool. Watch me knock on his door at 1 a.m. I'd spent 10 years grinding at big tech. Severe insomnia was my souvenir. Luckily, I'd saved enough to quit, move back to my hometown, and rent a cheap apartment. But the insomnia didn't care about any of that. I'd lie there tossing and turning until 5 in the morning. The second sleep finally started pulling me under, hey-ha, from down below. This guy literally launched me out of bed, and I was furious. For an insomniac, a disrupted sleep is worse than being cheated on. Falling asleep naturally feels like climbing Everest barefoot. I walked to the window and looked down. An old man was jogging around the plaza screaming slogans. His voice was bouncing off every wall in the complex. The clock said 5 a.m. exactly. Shaking with rage, I leaned out and yelled, "What's the rush to die? Shut up! Grim Reaper hasn't called your number yet?" The old man stopped dead, looked up, started counting floors, then sprinted straight toward my building. Seconds later, my door was getting pounded like it owed him money. "I saw you clearly from the 6th floor. I know it was you. Open up!" I'd never seen someone cause a disturbance and then come pick a fight about it. I answered the door in my pajamas. An immediate wave of garlic breath hit me like a chemical weapon. "You insulted me just now. Who do you think you are? I was exercising down there. Don't deny it. I counted the floors. It was you." I covered my nose. His breath was a biohazard. "Sure, I insulted someone, but how do you know it was you I was talking to?" Old Joe faltered, started breathing hard. "If it wasn't me, then who? I've seen people pick up money, pick up bags, but picking up an insult? That's a first. You in the habit of collecting trash?" His face went dark with rage. "There was only me down there. Who else would you be talking to?" "I have severe myopia. I'm on the 6th floor. How could I possibly confirm it was you? You were the one screaming slogans. Are you deaf?" "Oh, so you're admitting you heard me screaming, which means you were awake and I disturbed your sleep." "I was saying you were barking like a dog at 5 in the morning and wrecking my sleep. That did it." He swung at me. I leaned my face toward him. "Go ahead, right here. Don't miss." His eyes darted around. Something felt off to him. His hand froze in midair. He looked up. The security camera was pointed directly at him. He dropped his arm, spat on the ground. "You're trying to set me up. I'm not stupid." I put on my most theatrical look of disappointment. "Shame. I was hoping to squeeze a few thousand out of you." His eyes went wide. "You're trying to extort me? Boy, I was running extortion schemes before you were born. My heart condition is acting up. You're not walking away from this one." "Old man, this camera records audio." He was on his feet instantly, like nothing had happened, glared at me and said, "Bold move, kid, we'll see," then cursed his way back downstairs. After he left, all hope of sleep was gone. I hadn't looked for new work after quitting. Interest on my savings covered expenses, so there was no pressure. I was eating breakfast when the commotion started again. I opened the door. It was my neighbor, Auntie Lou. "Sweetie, did you provoke old Joe?" "Old who?" "The old man who walks around in the mornings." He was making noise, so I said something. Auntie Lou looked horrified. "You're making a huge mistake. Don't mess with him. He's ruined lives." Then she told me the whole history. Old Joe was a tenant too. Started by banging on walls, singing at all hours. Neighbors complained. The landlord even offered his deposit back. Old Joe refused to leave, used his heart condition as a shield, claimed anyone who touched him owed him medical bills. He drove every neighbor above and below him out, then found a new target, the whole complex. Property management, local authorities, everyone tried to stop him. Nobody succeeded, and eventually just disturbing the peace wasn't enough for his sick mind. He started targeting women. Elderly ladies doing morning exercises in the plaza, high school girls. Nobody was safe. Once, a girl living in a basement room to save money while studying for exams was showering when she looked up and saw his face pressed against the window, eyes full of the ugliest hunger imaginable. The trauma broke her. She fell into depression, quit her exams. Her family, the kind that treated daughters as afterthoughts, pulled her back to their village and married her off to whoever was willing. One girl's entire future destroyed. And old Joe? He sat by the gate every day afterward, casually describing her body to anyone who'd listen. The whole neighborhood had learned to avoid him the way you avoid roadkill. Because no one had ever challenged him, he got bolder. Cornering girls alone in the elevator, touching their faces, lifting skirts, every brand of depravity you can imagine. Some parents had tried to beat him. Police reports were filed. Every time he came back worse. One rotten old man had infected the entire neighborhood. Property values tanked. Auntie Lou looked at me dead serious. Honey, don't be impulsive. You've got your whole future ahead of you. If you can't fight him, avoid him. Find somewhere else to live. Hearing all that, every ounce of insomnia-fueled energy in my body lit up like a circuit board. Auntie, don't worry. He exercises at 5 a.m.? Has he ever experienced a 1 a.m. door knock? I could play with a guy like this for a whole year. I caught a little sleep during the day, but the moment night fell, my brain fired back up like an army doing drills inside my skull. I tossed and turned. 5 a.m. exactly. Hey-ha. It started again. This time I felt no anger, just energy. I threw on my tracksuit and went downstairs, started walking exactly 1 meter behind him. He'd yell, hey. I'd echo, hey, right behind him. He nearly jumped out of his skin, spun around, saw me, made a dismissive sound through his nose and kept walking. I stayed glued. Hey. He stopped abruptly. What exactly do you think you're doing? I didn't even look at him. Just said casually, the 1,000-year tortoise. He blinked, then it registered. I was insulting him indirectly. He raised his hand in fury. I beamed and offered my face. Go ahead. He froze the camera. His hand hung in the air. I'm exercising. Mind your business. Exercise all you want, but well-behaved dogs don't block the path. Why are you? His face went red. He started walking faster. But his old legs couldn't shake me. We stayed exactly a meter apart. He yelled. I echoed. The whole neighborhood rang with it. His one-man show had become a duet. Auntie had told me he normally does 5 laps, an hour of noise until he's woken everyone up. Today, 1 lap and he was done. He stormed off to the breakfast cart, furious. I followed only 1 lap today, old man, getting tired, losing steam. Guess your exercise routine is exactly like your sex life. Lots of unearned grunting, followed by a premature exit and deep, deep disappointment. He drank his soy milk, trembling, slamming the table, pointing a shaking finger at me. Couldn't get words out. Threw half his bread roll down and headed home. Already, I was just getting started. I said nothing more, just quietly followed him far enough to clock which floor he was on, then headed back. Auntie Lou caught me in the lobby. You went head-to-head with him today, didn't you? Only 10 minutes of noise this morning, I figured. She grabbed my arm. Be careful, sweetheart, his whole family is trouble. Auntie, relax. Bullies are scared of people who don't care, and nobody's more don't care than someone who's already given up on sleep. Next morning, 4:30 a.m. He was already downstairs. Clearly, he was ready to put in overtime. What he didn't know, for insomniacs, 4:30 a.m. is peak energy hour. When he turned around and found me already behind him, ghost-like, right on cue, a cold smile crossed his lips. Kid, old men don't need much sleep, but young people can't afford to waste their time like this. There was a direct challenge in his eyes. He wanted to see if I'd last. No worries, old man. Early to bed, early to rise, very healthy. He launched into his hey-ha routine. I followed. Hey, Da, why's your voice so weak today? Didn't eat, or is it the prostate? Up all night to pee, couldn't sleep? Slow down, Da. Don't throw out your back. Want me to have an ambulance on standby? Those legs are shaking, you good? His back went rigid, but out of spite he screamed louder. Good one day, but the stamina's not there. Kidneys are weak according to Chinese medicine. Try some roasted kidney, seriously. That last one was better, but what's that sound in your lungs? A rusty fan. Swollen tonsils. Keep going. Don't stop on my account. I'm just checking your pulse over here. This time, he didn't even make it halfway around. He headed straight for the breakfast cart, which wasn't even open yet. He just stood there in the cold, shivering. Da, street food this early isn't healthy. There's a barbecue spot over there, though. Let me get you some kidney. You clearly need the energy. He rolled his eyes, clutched his chest, and started lowering himself to the ground. Don't you run, I'm having a heart attack. I immediately called emergency services and lunged on top of him and pinned him down, rolled up my sleeves, started CPR, fist-pumping his chest like I was trying to restart a diesel engine. Hang in there, Da, the game just started. I was pressing so hard he was coughing like he was actually dying. He barely held on until the ambulance arrived. The second they loaded him in, he called the cops. From his hospital bed, he grabbed the officer's hand. That guy gave me a heart attack, bankrupt him. The cops knew exactly who old Joe was. They just sighed, pulled the CCTV. The footage was crystal clear. I was a full meter away, never touched him, and when he collapsed, I was the one performing CPR like a hero. Once it was confirmed I was a good Samaritan, he started throwing a tantrum from his hospital bed. "You're all ganging up on a helpless old man. I'm filing a complaint," the senior officer standing nearby said flatly. "One more scene and we're putting you in holding. They downgraded the food in there recently. Watery soup and stale buns." Old Joe went silent as a turtle retreating into its shell, just glared at me with pure poison in his eyes, like someone had force-fed him something rotten. I was smiling on the inside. I went home and slept like a baby. Despite my very enthusiastic CPR, he was back on his feet within a day. Third morning, 4:30 a.m., he was downstairs again. I was up instantly, running on pure adrenaline, fell right into position behind him. He was mid-yawn when he spotted me, his face darkened. "Do you ever sleep?" "Duh, how would you know?" He looked like he wanted to spit blood, started coughing from sheer rage. Today he skipped running entirely, picked up a stick and started smashing the fitness equipment. Metal clanging echoed through the whole complex. Nobody in this neighborhood has ever had the nerve to challenge me. From behind him, I produced a 5 to 6 foot iron-tipped whip. "Day, pay attention. If this catches you, I'm not taking responsibility," and I started swinging. The whip cut through the air, cracking inches from his face. He screamed, "You're gonna hit me? I'll strip you of everything you have. Nothing will be left." I didn't say a word, just kept swinging. Every time he lunged at me, the whip whistled and drove him back. Eventually, he was just hurling curses and moving to the other side of the plaza to smash things over there. I followed like his shadow, close enough to unsettle him, far enough to stay technically clean. Within minutes, what was left of his bravado completely collapsed. He shot me one last look and left without a word. I walked back inside laughing to myself and went to sleep. But the next morning, before he even started screaming, I opened my door and got hit with a wall of rot. 2 garbage bags, leaking and festering, dumped right on my doorstep. Perfect. I'd been waiting for this move. I grabbed both bags and sprinted downstairs. Old Joe was standing right there, that smug little smirk on his face. "What are you going to do about it?" Without a single word, I hoisted both bags and dumped them directly over his bald head. Rotten water, vegetable scraps, bones, all of it cascading down his skull. He froze for half a second, then screamed like a pig. By the time the cops showed up and saw him standing there dripping in garbage, they barely kept straight faces. I put on my most remorseful expression and bowed slightly. "Sorry, Da, I thought trash belonged with its own kind. My bad. Live long. Just don't rush it." The cops gave me a light warning and left. Old Joe stood there screaming at nobody. Eventually, he had no choice but to go home and shower. That same day, someone secretly added me to a group chat. The whole group was packed with people old Joe had terrorized, hundreds of them. The moment I joined, the chat exploded. A girl DM'd me, "Hey, want to grab coffee sometime?" I blocked her immediately. Coffee at night for an insomniac is basically self-destruction. Then a warning popped up in the group. "Brother, be careful. His son is a gangster, way more dangerous than the old man." Seeing all that support, something fired up in me. "Everybody relax. I'm alone, no job, no family responsibilities. If God himself showed up, I wouldn't back down. He came to my door and challenged me. I'm not stepping back now." Fifth night, 1 a.m. exactly. I went downstairs and started hammering on his door. Dead silence inside. I switched to kicking. Nobody else was left on his floor anyway. He'd driven them all out, so there was nobody to disturb. "Get lost!" "Morning exercise in the morning." "Ah, you got a hole in your head? Wake up and get moving." "Da, why so violent?" "Morning's almost here. If you don't put in the work, what kind of send-off do you expect?" The moment he started unlocking the door to come out, I was already sprinting back upstairs. 2 a.m. knocked again, 3 a.m. knocked again. By sunrise, he couldn't get out of bed. I kept this up for a full week. Didn't let him sleep a single night. Slowly, the entire neighborhood went quiet. The group chat was flooding with compliments. For a moment, it actually felt like I was the hero of this story. But that evening, when I went downstairs to grab food, old Joe was standing at the entrance. Behind him, a big, bald, heavily tattooed man. Old Joe yapped like a dog. "Son, that's him. Get him." I calmly adjusted. The body cam clipped to my chest and smiled. The tattooed guy cocked his fist. Then he saw the camera. Froze. "You're the one messing with my dad." "Excuse me? You want me to be your dad? I don't want a son this big. I was in a gang before you could walk." "You're 30 plus, you've got kids. What school do they go to?" "I'm single, no kids." "Then your wife, your girlfriend, I'll take 'em." Born single, man, what are you even talking about? I spent my entire life making money at big tech companies until I nearly went bald. Who has time for women? The only thing that's been screwing me for the last 10 years is the tech industry. And it didn't even have the courtesy to use lube. The gangster looked genuinely confused and glanced at his old man. Old Joe had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. The kid's actually alone. I've never once seen a woman or a child go into his place. I gave old Joe a thumbs up. "Da, those vulture eyes of yours are sharp as ever." The tattooed guy lit a cigarette in frustration. "Fine, so you're single. You've at least got a job. Whether you admit it or not, I can find your workplace." I turned back to old Joe with a grin. "Hey, you hang around here all day watching everything. You ever seen me go to work?" Old Joe stammered for a moment, then reluctantly admitted, "This kid genuinely seems unemployed." The gangster went completely quiet. His face turned green. "Over 30, no wife, no kids, lives in a dump, no job. You're even more of a loser than me." He pointed a thick finger in my face. "My dad's morning exercise is just a hobby. You keep messing with him and you better watch your back." I patted the body cam on my chest and nodded politely. Got it. Every threat, every word, clean on camera. I'll package this up and send it to the neighborhood group so they can post it online. This little back and forth is about to become a viral series. Realizing their threats had landed nowhere, father and son cursed their way out and left. Next morning, the tattooed son actually showed up to provide protection. He joined old Joe for the morning routine, but he looked like he was one step from collapse. Dark circles so deep it looked like he'd faceplant in the street. I grabbed my camera and headed out. First-person content. This was going to be viral gold. Hey ha! Between the noise and the sleep deprivation, the tattooed guy completely lost it. He kicked me. I was ready. I went with the momentum and slid out dramatically on the cold pavement. Like a signal had been sent, the dark buildings around us lit up all at once. Windows flew open, balconies filled. People leaned out screaming, gangsters attacking people in the street. "Call an ambulance." They smashed his head in, whole neighborhoods watching. Within 3 minutes, sirens, hundreds of residents who'd been terrorized for years poured out of their buildings and surrounded the father and son so completely that not even a fly could have slipped through. The lead officer crouched down next to me, face serious. "Brother, how are you feeling? Can you breathe? Should I call an ambulance?" I grabbed my head, eyes glazed, groaning. "Everything's spinning. I think I'm going to throw up. Call the ambulance." "Victim is showing nausea symptoms, possible head trauma." Watching me perform, the tattooed guy absolutely snapped and tried to kick me again. Bull, I never even touched his head. Before he could finish, 2 officers had him face down on the pavement, locked in. 100 witnesses simultaneously testifying that the gangster had kicked me and tried to cause serious bodily harm. Old Joe saw the situation collapsing and went back to his classic move. Grabbed his chest and dropped to the ground. The crowd ignored him like he was a piece of litter on the sidewalk. Not a single person looked his way. At the station, faced with solid evidence on all sides, the tattooed son broke down crying and was forced to pay 5,000 yen in medical compensation. I immediately blew all that money on expensive chips and snacks. I left them at the security desk and told everyone in the group to help themselves. That move made me a legend. The whole neighborhood was buzzing with joy. That night, the old man was so furious he actually had a heart attack. They wheeled him out in an ambulance, and he spent half a month in the hospital. His tattooed son burned out taking care of him in less than a week. He hired the cheapest undocumented worker he could find for a few $100 and skipped town overnight. The night they took the old man away in the ambulance, the homeowners pooled their money and bought a truck full of fireworks. The bangs echoed all night long. It was a genuine celebration. The neighborhood finally enjoyed 2 solid weeks of peace. My payout from the big company finally landed in my account. Over 500,000 rupees. My old company was genuinely generous. I called the bank to ask about high-yield investments. Being a premium customer, the branch manager insisted on picking me up personally. I couldn't say no, so I agreed. Next morning, the bank's car was waiting outside. The manager and a staff member met me with clean uniforms and wide smiles. For appearances, I dug out my old interview suit. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted the miserable old man standing nearby watching us. I ignored him, got in the car, and pulled away. Glancing back through the rear window, I saw him chasing us full speed on a rusty electric tricycle. Even the driver was stunned. "Look at that old man. He's sliding all over the place on that thing." The premium service was fast. Everything was wrapped up in under 30 minutes. The manager walked me to the door, but just as we reached the entrance, a pig-like shriek rang out. The bank is oppressing the poor. They have no humanity. They beat an 80-year-old man and humiliated him. They bang on doors at night and don't even spare little girls. This is outrageous." The old man had actually shown up with a banner strapped to his tricycle. He dropped to his knees at the bank's front gate and started wailing. The moment he spotted me, he lunged at me like a rabid dog, grabbed my arm and started screaming at the crowd. "Neighbors, look at this man. He's a big officer at this bank. He curses at me, beats me, and won't let me sleep. He threatened my granddaughter. He gave me a heart attack and sent me to the ER. Look, everyone, here's my hospital bill." He held up a stack of papers. "Who in their right mind would keep their hard-earned money in a bank run by an animal like this? Is there no justice for ordinary people like us?" Within minutes, the crowd had stacked 3 rows deep. The bank manager panicked and tried to pull the old man aside. "Sir, you've got the wrong person. He's our client, not an employee." The old man shoved him off. "Stop covering for each other. You say he's not your employee. That's just to dodge responsibility. I saw you pick him up in your car. You all wear the same uniform. He's clearly some big shot." The crowd started murmuring and rolling their cameras. "This is too much." "Yeah, how dark has society gotten? Can banks just do whatever they want? This is a service industry. How can they treat people like this?" It looked like the branch was on the verge of a PR collapse. If this hit the internet, the whole location was done. The manager, seasoned as he was, signaled his staff to call the police and tried to steer the old man inside. The old man threw him off. "Don't play your tricks on me. I'm not getting caught in your backroom deals. You answer in front of everyone today." On the surface, he was trembling with rage, but his eyes held a sharp, calculating gleam. I'd seen enough. I stepped forward slowly. He thought I was caving and geared up to unload on me, but I turned to the crowd instead. "Everyone can keep recording, but don't post anything online yet, or you could end up in legal trouble. When the police arrive, I'll need you as witnesses." Seeing that I wasn't rattled, he jabbed a finger at me and yelled, "Are you all blind? I'm giving you 2 options. Either resign and pay me, or I'll drag you to court until you're fired and you still have to pay. Or, if you prefer, leave our neighborhood and start acting like a decent human being, and I'll let the past go." The look in his eyes told me everything. This whole scene was a setup to drive me out of the neighborhood. Before I could think any further, the police showed up, the same 2 officers as before. "Sir, what kind of scene are you making today?" the old man spat. "Watch how you protect him now. I caught him red-handed. He does this all the time. Even the manager comes to pick him up. If I don't get a proper answer, I'm sleeping right here in the bank lobby tonight." Both officers looked at each other, then at me with helpless expressions. They checked my ID. A minute later, "Sir, we checked. This man is currently unemployed." "Nonsense! I watched him get out of the bank's car myself. You're still protecting him. We'll go to the media and expose your corruption." Just then, an older woman pushed through the crowd. "Move aside, I have banking to do." The old man planted himself in front of the door like a guard. "Nobody goes in until this boy gets fired." The woman didn't say much. She just slapped him hard several times. "Who let this garbage crawl out of the gutter? Get out of here." The old man's face went crimson. He was about to lash back, but her sharp glare stopped him cold. Classic bully. Tough with the weak, scared of the strong. "I've been banking here for 10 years and I have never once seen this man work here," she said. The other regular customers chimed in immediately. "Yeah, we all know the staff here. There's no such employee. Open your eyes. His suit's different too. A good dog doesn't block the path. Move it so we can get our business done." The old man went pale. His lips trembled. "Impossible. I saw it with my own eyes." He grabbed the manager's arm like a last lifeline. "I don't care. You know him. Even if he's not your employee, you owe me money, or I'll come back every day and shut this place down." The manager had had enough. "Sir, you've gone way too far." The officers had seen everything. They took him by the arms. "Sir, you've caused a major scene today, disturbing public order and spreading false accusations. Let's go have some tea." I went along to give my statement, citing the emotional distress his slander had caused me and demanding substantial compensation. He went right back into his act, sobbing about being poor. I laughed. "Then enjoy your retirement in detention. It'll bring some peace to the neighborhood. When you leave, property values will go up and people will celebrate with fireworks for 3 days straight." That rattled him. He called his son. I could tell he was getting chewed out on the phone, but in the end his son wired over $20,000 in compensation. As he shuffled out of the station, he called his son again. I followed quietly and my sharp ears caught every word. "Son, will this plan actually work? Your old man is falling apart here. Property prices aren't budging. That new kid is an absolute nightmare. Nothing sticks to him. If we can't push him out, our whole plan to buy up the cheap units falls apart." His son's voice came through clearly. "Shut up. I've already set up the bank loan. Once we drive prices down by half, we'll scoop up 10 units. After you move out and a year passes, prices will shoot back up and we'll make a killing." The old man perked right up. "All right then, this old bag of bones has one more fight in him." The moment he stepped back into the complex, he whipped out a megaphone and started darting around like a zombie. "Listen up, you cowards. The kid in Unit 7301 is messing with me, and you're all just watching? Fine. Starting today, I'm banging on a random door every hour, until every single one of you loses your mind. You want someone to blame. Blame that kid in the building. I don't work. I've got all the time in the world." Walking behind him, I nearly laughed out loud. This old dog was actually running a classic Art of War maneuver. Sow discord, create chaos. Right on cue, the homeowners group chat exploded. "We're done for. That crazy old man is biting everyone now. We'll never sleep again. The worst part is it's a mystery box. Nobody knows whose door is next. It's like the world's worst advent calendar, where instead of a little piece of chocolate, you just get a screaming geriatric terrorist." Then someone actually wrote, "Maybe we should just apologize to him. At least when he only made noise at 5 a.m., we still got some sleep." The chat went dead silent. I could tell half the group was ready to fold. "Apologize? Have you lost your mind? Absolutely not." I typed into the group, "I will never apologize. That word isn't in my vocabulary. If any of you try to stab me in the back or sell me out, go ahead. I'll take all of you on by myself." Sensing the tension about to boil over, Auntie jumped in to cool things down. "Xiaozhang, calm down. Everyone's been backed into a corner. There's no easy way out. We need to stay united against the outsider." The two-faced members of the group caught on immediately and started spamming the chat with messages of agreement. I could tell these cowards had finally realized that I was even more unhinged than that crazy old dog. Before, they'd been having fun at my expense because I was in a good mood and had their backs. Now that I could see they were completely terrified and falling in line, I slowly typed out one message. "Everyone relax. If that old dog shows up at anyone's door tonight, just ping the group. I'll come myself and put my neck on the line to deal with him." The second I sent it, the screen blew up with likes and prayer emojis. The old man turned out to be pretty ruthless. He made his move that very night. It was past midnight, the whole city was dead asleep, and my mind was still running 100 miles an hour. Some poor guy from Building 6 started blowing up the group in a panic. "Help! Help! Someone's banging on my door like a maniac. It's definitely that crazy old man. He's even wearing that death shroud outfit. I'm going to have a heart attack." I pulled up his WeChat profile picture. What a coincidence. It was the same weak guy who'd told me to apologize that morning. Every cell in my body was celebrating, but I was in no rush. I just sat back quietly and watched him suffer in the group chat. The guy from Building 9 had completely fallen apart. He kept begging for help. "Big bro, I messed up. I was blind. Please flex your power and save me," I replied casually. "Just open the door and keep your promise. Otherwise, call the cops." "Big bro, calling the cops won't stop this crazy old bastard. I'm genuinely terrified he's going to wipe me out financially." I typed just 3 words, "I'm scared too." "Big bro, I really screwed up. This all happened because I ran my mouth. I deserve to be torn apart. Just hear me out." Right after that, he sent a video of himself slapping his own face. The loud smacks came through the screen, and you could feel the pain. He was pretty hard on himself, too. Once I saw that his way of owning up to his mistake was legit, I threw on my jacket and headed straight for Building 9. It was a long night anyway, and I couldn't sleep, so I figured, might as well go say hi to this crazy old bastard. "Hey, old man, doing some underwear cosplay in the middle of the night?" In the dimly lit corridor, the old man sat comfortably on a small stool wearing a dark, creepy shroud-like robe. He had a thermos in hand and was casually sipping hot tea. "None of your business. Stay out of it. I'm not here to get in the middle of anything," I said flatly. Then I reached into my jacket and pulled out my ultimate biochemical weapon, a can of surströmming. The second the lid popped, the stench of rotten fermented fish hit the old man like a freight train. It smelled like a mermaid's yeast infection mixed with a porta potty on the last day of a summer music festival. His neck snapped back and he immediately started gagging. I held that biochemical weapon right under his nose. He buried his face in his robe and tried to hold his ground against me. But within 10 minutes his face turned purple and he was nearly passing out. He couldn't take it anymore, panicked and bolted, knocking over his stool and thermos as he ran. I followed him like a ghost. The old man ran ahead, retching violently. The moment he ducked into his apartment, I sat right down in front of his door, set an alarm and started banging on it every hour. "Hey, old man, long night and you can't sleep either? Why don't you come out for a seafood feast? Trust me, the smell is rough, but the taste is something else. Crunchy like fried chicken." The sounds coming from inside made it sound like the old man was bringing up everything he'd eaten that night. The next night, the old man refused to give up and went to someone else's door. His bad luck. My scouts were now spread across the whole complex. Once again, I showed up with the canned surströmming and played a wild biochemical cat-and-mouse game with him. By the third day, the old man had completely broken down mentally. He was holed up inside his apartment and couldn't even work up the nerve to step outside. But that wasn't enough for me. Keeping up the tradition of hospitality, I banged on his door all night and kept inviting him out for a taste of dead fish. But that stubborn old bastard showed zero respect. Just lay there quiet as a corpse. Can't sleep at night, huh, little animal? Fine. Next move. This crazy old man busted out hardcore morning exercise drills at midnight. This time he'd learned his lesson. He strapped on an N95 mask tight. Combined with the cold air, he managed to partially withstand my biochemical assault. But because the mask was so tight, this old wreck passed out from oxygen deprivation within minutes. His eyes rolled back and he hit the floor. I was in no rush. I just sat nearby and enjoyed the show. So you think you can nap during the day and play hero at night, huh? Don't get too cocky. Starting tomorrow, I'll sleep during the day too. Let's see who lasts longer. Night, my old bones or you? All right, old man. Let's see who turns into a zombie first. But the truth was, he had absolutely no idea that I was a dangerous insomniac who couldn't sleep even during the day. The moment daytime hit and he laid down to rest, I showed up like clockwork and banged on his door every 30 minutes. Honestly, after a few days, this whole thing started getting boring. Especially once the old dog had completely dried up and was too scared to face me directly. I wasn't even getting a kick out of messing with him anymore because I'd gotten tired of just the appetizers. It was time to go all in and end this. I went straight to the group chat and blew the lid off the old man's and his son's entire sleazy scheme. How they planned to tank property prices and buy up all the units. The news hit the group like a bomb going off. Oh wow, so that's why this old man was harassing all of us. He's been eyeing our properties this whole time. Rot in. Hell, what kind of scumbag isn't even afraid of karma? When I saw that everyone's fury was fully ignited, I stepped up at just the right moment. If we play this right, we can pull this old man out by the roots and put an end to this nonsense for good. But hear me clearly, if even one word leaks outside this group, we're all finished. The group immediately flooded with messages swearing loyalty and unity. Finally, the whole complex had had enough of this old dog. Seeing everyone's rage, I dropped the full multi-step plan into the group. Just like that, a quiet web of revenge spread silently across the entire complex. For the next full week, whenever the old man dared to make noise and ruin my sleep, I shut him down mercilessly. Meanwhile, bone-crushing, low-price listings started appearing on second-hand housing websites, prices so low they were hard to believe. Real estate agents' phones were blowing up. On the flip side, in the main group where the old man was lurking, some of the owners started putting on a performance. Are you all out of your minds? I put my entire life savings into this place, and you're selling it off for next to nothing. My last 5 years have been wasted. If you got any sense, pull those listings right now, or I'll show up at your doors in the middle of the night and dump red paint all over them. Who do you think you are? I can't even get one night of sleep here. I've gone through a whole bottle of sleeping pills. If I don't get out now, should I just wait to die here? Exactly. One bad apple spoiled the whole basket. If you're so capable, go deal with that crazy old man yourself. If you can't, then shut up. Every kind of insult was flying, and the acting was so convincing it could have been an Oscar-winning film. Two groups were going at each other like they were real enemies. Once the stage was fully set, I dropped the bomb in the main group, knowing the old man was watching from behind his screen. Brothers, I can't take this insomnia anymore. My body is completely wrecked. I don't have the strength left to fight that old animal. Once my lease is up next month, I'm out of here. Take care of yourselves, everyone. The second that message landed, the group erupted in grief. Don't go, hero. If you leave, who's going to deal with the old man? Handsome, we'll even cover your rent. Just don't abandon us. I calmly hit the leave group button and made a cool exit. Without even thinking about it, I knew the old man was under his blanket laughing his ass off. He must have been over the moon. Right after that, dozens more listings hit the internet at rock-bottom prices, and the old ones dropped even lower, like they were falling off a cliff. Property values across the entire complex were cut in half. It was a disaster. Bargain hunters were calling like maniacs. But the moment any of them heard about the crazy old man, half of them backed off right there on the spot. Just as planned, the old man's son, a fully tattooed thug, stepped onto the field. He was boasting arrogantly that there wasn't a single stubborn seller out there he couldn't handle. Maybe out of guilt or fear of being recognized, he even used a fake name with the real estate agent. But there was one thing he never could have dreamed of in his wildest nightmares. The agent he met was the son of my upstairs neighbor. The moment everyone found out that this fat pig had finally taken the bait, All the owners who'd been pretending to sell started stepping up one by one, pushing the deal forward and locking in the price at the bottom, but everyone had one condition for that blood-curdling price: full cash payment only, and proof of funds required before signing. The reasoning was perfect. They were afraid the crazy old man would jump in at the last second and blow everything up. So it all had to move fast. The fake saint of a son thought the plan was completely airtight. After all, he knew better than anyone just how much chaos his father had caused. The agent told me later that this guy had gone absolutely mental, taking out every bank loan and high-interest loan he could get his hands on. I had lured him into a revenge trap that was a 100% guaranteed win for us. When he'd somehow scraped together the money and showed the agent a screenshot of his account, nothing but zeros, every single one of the property owners suddenly flipped the script, like they'd all planned it in advance. Right then and there, they raised their prices. The son turned red with rage and started blowing up the agent's phone demanding answers. The agent just played innocent and threw his hands up. The owners changed their minds at the last minute. "Nothing I can do. If you don't like it, you can wait." Now that he'd already borrowed the money, he couldn't return it. All he could do was watch the high interest pile up. The owners slowly bumped the price up 10, 20 grand at a time and strung that crazy dog along for a full month. By the time he figured out he'd been played and went to return the money, a month's worth of compounding interest had become a black hole he could never dig himself out of. People who dream of getting something for nothing always end up with the worst possible ending. When it finally hit him that his buy-the-dip scheme had completely collapsed, he lost it entirely. He crossed every line there was. He even drained his father's last savings. He got suckered in by some fake stock gurus and in one moment of sheer madness, threw everything into the stock market, convinced he could win it all back and turn his luck around. But the outcome was exactly what it was always going to be. Nothing left. He drowned instantly in a sea of losses. Lost everything down to his last dollar. Debt collectors started lining up at his door. With no way out, this bizarre father and son duo, in their desperation, attacked a debt collector. The police showed up that same day and hauled them both away in handcuffs. One case after another surfaced, and the son got hit with serious fraud and document forgery charges. He landed himself a luxury all-inclusive prison package, free room and board. When the old man heard the verdict in court, he stopped breathing. His eyes rolled back and he collapsed right there on the spot. This time, not even God stepped in to save him. After emergency treatment, he was left permanently paralyzed. His face drooped, his eyes went crooked, and he was confined to a bed for the rest of his life. He couldn't even mention exercise anymore. The landlord notified the authorities, and that childless, paralyzed old man was forcibly transferred to the cheapest nursing home available, where he survived on bare minimum care. Word was he lay there every day in his own filth. The caregivers pushed him around whenever they felt like it. Completely paralyzed, couldn't move an inch. Nothing came from his throat but a rasping gurgle. He couldn't even call out for help. In that suffocating, agonizing condition, he rotted there for 30 days, and finally went straight to hell. After all of this, the complex had a sense of unity it had never seen before. The tumor had been removed at the root without a single drop of blood being spilled. My landlord was so thrilled he couldn't stop smiling. He waived an entire year of my rent. I waved my hand with a grin and said, "Brother, I'm so broke, all I've got left is money." The strangest thing was, seeing the joy on everyone's faces in this reborn neighborhood, my stubborn insomnia miraculously healed itself. Turns out, the ultimate cure for 10 years of sleeplessness isn't therapy or medication, but the pure, unadulterated high of watching your enemies' lives completely disintegrate. The moment my head hit the pillow, I was out cold. In the end, I genuinely owe that dead old man a thank you. This time around, fighting fire with fire pulled me out of the deep, dark pit of severe insomnia for good.
Did you enjoy the video? Drop a like to let me know and smash the subscribe button if you want to see more. I love to hear your thoughts. Tell me your favorite moment, what you didn't like, or what I can do better next time in the comment below. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. See you in the next one.